Today I want to talk about the housing market in Virginia Beach, specifically the 23451 zip code. And this is a zip code that a lot of people love because of its proximity to the water and the type of water access you have. So along here is the bay, and the bay is a lot more calm and a lot less touristy, whereas the ocean front is down here, and this is really the only area that you're allowed to have short-term rentals for less than 30 days roughly. And this area is where most tourists go, stay, and then leave Virginia Beach. This part north of kind of Neptune's Park is where there's a little bit more residential property, and that is where I'm going to kind of focus on today. I'm going to talk about just this whole zip code coming all the way down here to pretty much Red Ring Park, because this is an area that we have a lot of people looking at, and we also have a lot of visitors who come through in the summer months, which is roughly between May and September. In Virginia, we have a long summer month, much longer than other areas. So let's talk about how the market's doing and what trends we're seeing compared to last month, so that you guys are better prepared if you decide to consider buying or selling. So right off the bat, I do want to let you know that it is a seller's market. But whenever you see this, always consider what the market is doing in your neighborhood as well. So when you do your CMA and you kind of take a look at what are homes selling for in my neighborhood, or very similar properties with similar water accesses, is it kind of a similar trend that people are paying more or definitely asking price? Are they selling faster? Is the amount of inventory low enough that buyers don't really have many options? And that is still true in Virginia Beach. We have about 2.44 months supply of inventory. Luckily, it's up almost 12% month over month, but we also have seen that the list to sold price is still just barely under 100%. So if you're going to make an offer in these areas, expect to at least offer asking price, or in multiple offer situations, be prepared to offer more than that. The median days on market in RPR, and that is just Realtor Property Resource. This is a service that is only available to realtors, and it kind of compiles data so that we can kind of see what's going on with off-market sales and all sorts of things nationwide. So I'm going to just go through this a little bit and talk about how we have seen days on market come down. And why that's important to you is because it means that, number one, buyers are taking less time to write an offer. They are probably have much more options now, so they don't feel like they have to wait until they've seen maybe 3 or 4 properties. You might be able to see 3 or 4 a day if you time it right. So down being, down over 40% roughly is a very good sign that the market is picking up and that there's a lot of buyers looking. One thing I also want to bring up is that the median sold price, this is up 3.11%. Sometimes that can be attributed to new construction and other things like more homes for sale that are in higher price points as well. There was a huge listing that sold over $12 million in the zip code. So you can imagine that would influence the median sales price just a smidge, if not, because, honestly, it's not the only property to be that expensive to ever sell, but it is a big deal when most properties tend to range between, 1 to 4 million in some of the areas that surrounded that property in particular. And while I'm on the subject of this, I'm going to just snap into my Realtor Property Resource real quick, looking at some properties over here, and show you the market activity for this zip code. so that you guys can see kind of the number of buyers that are looking, because that's a resource that I have available for anybody thinking about buying or selling while I have you. So I'm just going to let it be. I promise my computer is safe. I'm going to let it show you guys how many buyers we have looking in Real Scout in the last 90 days. We can definitely narrow this down a little bit more, but just for an idea of what's been going on, because most buyers nowadays, we know they take longer to look. So let's look at 90 days, and we've seen 430 active buyers, and this is within my brokerage. So with this service, you can see exactly where they're most going to tour properties by zooming in right here. I hope you guys can see that a little bit better. Let me see if that can work a little bit better like this. So the colors indicate relative popularity. Towards the bottom here is Sandbridge, and that is a little bit less popular for tourists, but more popular for locals. And it definitely is a nice area for sure. I wouldn't say anything bad about any of these areas at all. It's really up to your taste if you like something or don't like it, like North Beach versus South Beach. Very relative. I mean, if you're coming to the area, definitely compare the schools, compare the flood zones, compare jet noises, compare commute, compare everything you can. But also think about, are you expecting the neighbors to be people that you want to hang out with? Maybe. I would say you never know who could live next door and who could be friends with you. So give every single neighborhood a peek, walk through it, bike through it, go to the beach in the area, because a lot of these areas have a local beach where you can kind of see what your neighbors tend to do on weekends and weekdays or even after work. A lot of the beaches, some of them are more popular than others for people to go to after work for a little chill time. Right here is a really big hot spot. I know about this area because my family used to live around here off of Shore Drive, and there's a lot of condos right around here. More condos than most towards this bottom part of the bridge, and then over here is kind of where you see some more homes. And that's kind of, the trend for Virginia Beach is that you can kind of get anything at any different price point, depending on what you really want, how much maintenance you want. Um, and there's a lot of variety. If you want a condo, if you want a single family, if you want a townhouse, it's pretty much all here. But there's not too much new construction compared to other cities around the area. So I have a section here that shows me the top viewed listings. If you wanted to get this market report, I could definitely email it to you. And I'm not going to go through too much in detail here. Just going to say that recently sold, average list price for this whole area. I wouldn't really consider that to be what you should apply to your property, but it's good to know what's going on as a general big picture for the neighborhood, for the zip code, just to have an idea of what the trends are. I would say that if I wanted to give you a real analysis of it, I would definitely take a look at your neighborhood and more so focus on similarities and what buyers would consider comparable in contrast, because I do work with buyers as well, and so I send them properties, I see what they see, and a lot of the times sellers kind of have to step away and envision themselves as the buyer. Like, would you pay the same amount as you expect buyers to pay for your property? Would you compare your property to these type of properties, or would you consider that out of the question? Ask something that can help you guys narrow down what price range would buyers be looking at is definitely something to consider, depending on your condition, your location, proximity to things. It's all relative. And what I do want to point out, which most people don't think about, is the month over month change and the 12-month change. So when we look at the area, 1.4% increase compared to last month doesn't seem like that much. But if you say that almost every single month your property value is going up 1%. At the end of the year, it's up 10%. You're doing almost better than some people's stocks and their investment accounts. So I would count that as a win for anybody who owns property in the area. The median estimated value right now is 848. 720. Definitely let me narrow this down for you before you think that's what your home is worth. Without taking a look at, what recently sold near you, because appraisers definitely do that. They don't just take the numbers off of the internet. They come to your house, they look at everything, they measure items, then they come back with a report that tells you exactly what they estimate a lender would pay for it. And that process, it's always been very thorough. And realtors can provide this a very similar type of thing without the measurements, but still give you an idea of what buyers are willing to pay, which is different than what a lender would pay. But it's good to have both. It's always good to have options. Now, when it comes to new listings in the area, some softwares will tell you different numbers depending on what they're saying. So let's just ignore this for now. And I'll go back to my report here of new listings from RPR, because they gather data from a lot of different public websites much more thoroughly than some websites do. And the number of new listings that we've seen in May 2024 is 96. That's crazy, up almost 50%, actually 47.7%, but that's pretty much, a huge gain of options. So if you have been thinking about looking at properties, definitely take a look, take some time and go out and see these different neighborhoods. Go to an open house if you're not too serious yet and just see what's out there. The median price per square foot is $384. It's up 15.7% compared to last month. That's also very good. I wouldn't say that if you haven't kept up with your home maintenance that you would be seeing these same gains, but if you have kept up with them or updated, you might be even seeing higher than that median sales price per square foot for these new listings. And the total volume just tells us that a lot more properties are selling as a whole. So when you add up the total price value of every property that's sold in May 2024, this is the value right here, about 112 million, almost 113 million, and the median living space. So especially if you're looking at maybe building or buying or even renovating to make something that's more livable, the median price per square foot, the median square foot in the area is 1,995 for new listings. So some people would say 2,000 square feet used to be the dream. I I think this kind of affirms that for us, that most people, if you're gonna be looking for a house, 1,000 square feet can be a little bit small for people who want to have something they can grow into. About 2,000 square feet is comfortable for some people to grow into and transition out of if they're coming down from having a property that maybe had 3,000 square feet or more, which most people would say is a lot of a lot more space to spread out, especially if you have like a home office situation. It's nicer to have more than 2,000 square feet. So even for pending listings, we're right about 2,000 square feet on the median square foot value. They're saying it's up 9.4% compared to last month for pending listings, and about the same for new pending, and for active listings, it's down. I wouldn't really pay attention to that too much, because what it really tells us is what people are paying for, not necessarily if you should increase or decrease your property what I would focus on if you are trying to buy property and you want to resale, though, is to think that long term, you might have an easier time because more properties sell around this number, like around 2,000 square feet, selling the property than somebody trying to and sell faster and be exposed to more buyers than somebody trying to sell a property with a lot less square footage or a lot more square footage. And the same thing goes for the median price. Like, the reason I tell you guys these numbers is because they tell you that the majority of people are probably looking for something like this. And the closer you are to this, the more likely you are to sell faster, roughly. Not to say you won't sell at all, but it's nice to have an idea of what the majority of buyers are buying, putting under contract, and like this new pending listing number. It's up 25.7% month over month. This means that more people are putting offers in and getting accepted than have been before, up 25%. And then we're seeing the median price is almost 700K. So if you were to have that amount ready, pre-approved, you're going to have a lot more options to buy and purchase in the area than if you have less than this number. And if you're looking to buy more, you're going to have a lot less options because most properties are selling for around this number. Now, when it comes to the numbers that I think are also important for you guys to consider is this month supply of inventory, and then the sold. Obviously, it's up a little bit higher than what was active. Does this mean prices are coming down? I don't think so. I think it's just the number of properties that we saw. And like I said before, a property sold for over $12 million, this definitely affects the averages for the area a little bit. But if you take a look at just your neighborhood and take a little bit of a more narrow perspective, we can get you guys a better, clearer picture of what the market is doing. Now, another thing people like to consider, especially in Virginia Beach, is what their property could potentially rent for. If you were to rent it out versus sell it versus short-term rental versus Airbnb, all those things depend on, number one, what's allowed for your area, maybe even your HOA or condo association rules, but also your investment goals. Because one of the things that some people get caught up on with rental properties is that I'm just going to rent it forever. I already bought it. Let me just keep it. And then the rental numbers start not to make sense. So I was even looking at this other property in Virginia Beach. I'm not going to point out which one right now, but I'm going to just say the numbers roughly so you guys can get an idea of what made that one not a good deal, in my opinion, for the homeowner anymore. But it definitely might have been a great deal when they bought it. And the appreciation play is great for certain investors. But if it's your only investment, sometimes it's harder because of vacancy, because of turnover, because of unexpected maintenance that might require the property to be vacant for longer than you planned. And that shakes things up and that cuts into your bottom line. So definitely consider, if you are for rent by owner or renting it out or thinking about renting anything out before selling it, look at what you could buy that could make more rental income. And I would encourage you guys to even do this on like an annual basis, because it's so easy to get caught up and think that you're making a great return just by staying with the same decision when somebody could, for example, here's the numbers because I couldn't help, and they're so easy too. So this for rent by owner was asking $1,000. I saw in the records that they purchased it for three, about 300K is what it's worth today, and they purchased it for 275. I mean, I don't know if it could sell for 300K. If it's updated, it looks phenomenally beautiful on the inside. When I saw it, I was just like, wow, they're gonna make that a rental? And sometimes I do think about that when people think of over improvement too, because if you charge very little and you can only charge a certain amount based off the bedroom, bathroom, square footage, and the property appreciates because you bought it for a certain number, but the rent doesn't appreciate enough to keep up, waiting 5 years to get at least a little bit more equity out could cost you money when you could have bought a property that would have generated much more during that period of time. So if you are renting out any properties, please review them, take a look at the numbers, look at other properties in the area, see what you could buy that's a little bit cheaper and could make a little bit more rent. And that should allow you guys to definitely have more equity built up faster, because at the end of the day, isn't that the best opportunity is when you can make your money faster instead of slower? And that's why we're investing, so we can make more money faster. So before I let you guys go, I'm going to go in a little bit into the condo market, because there hasn't been too many out here. But according to this, in May 2024, the median condo market value is about 444. Okay, and it's up a little bit, almost 0.5%, and up 6.5% compared to the 12-month period. I would say definitely look at your condo association exactly. There's a lot of different types of condos, older ones, newer ones. This is a very general picture because it's the whole zip code, but I wouldn't want to make too in-depth of a analysis in case you guys don't have a specific one you want to talk about. 39 condos sold in the last 30 days, and they're about 18% more sold compared to last year. The median price per square foot is about 307. So multiply that by your square foot to kind of guess what you might be able to sell it for. It says it's down 6.4% compared to last month. Really, it could just be that there were more expensive condos for sale last month compared to this month. So I wouldn't really knock that as a big selling factor for you guys. Definitely ask your local realtor to give you analysis of that, like myself. And if you have questions about the median, living space, we can always talk about how that could affect your condo price. But what we see more so than square footage for condos is amenities factor in much more when it comes to condos than square footage. Also, proximity to certain things. So if we even look at this map right here, and I'm going to zoom in. Ooh. This is where all the condos are right now that are for sale. There's really not that many. This one over here was listed an hour ago. I'm asking $295. It's way less than the median sales price, but it's only 1,000 square feet. So you wouldn't really be expecting to pay that much for it. And it doesn't have a garage. So, it's really not going to be something that people are going to expect to pay too much for. But this condo over here on the north end, obviously, being way over regular square footage, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, see the oceans right there. They're going to ask for much more. And that's where you'd want a realtor to kind of really evaluate what it's worth. Same thing with this one. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. This is almost double what a regular condo is for, square footage wise. Almost 1,000 square feet more than the median square foot value. So really take a look at these condo values, but also the neighborhoods. This one's a new construction. I'm guessing, and the open house as well. I'm guessing they're going to be really awesome for people who want to have something that feels like a single family property just because of that look. Same thing goes with this condo over here. So we have a lot of different types of condos in Virginia Beach. I don't know why they're bringing it up. It's a lot, probably that has restrictions for the deed. But when it comes to this zip code, I didn't even mean to click way over there. This zip code in particular, there's not that much inventory right now. And I do see some growth. It's coming on. Anything that's been on the market this long, I'm guessing either people just didn't feel like they liked it, or they decided to back out for whatever reason. Maybe something happened with the buyer or some inspections or some agreement. But the condo market's doing very well for itself. In most markets, it's still growing because people love to have flexibility. Townhouses, they're a whole different story. That's when you actually own more than when you own a condo. A condo just you own up to the walls. Townhouse, you own more, but you share the walls. You own the land as well. There's restrictions. So some things get mislabeled. And that's something you also want to watch out for if you're looking for a condo specifically. When you search on these websites, is that you are looking at what different people might categorize as a condo could be accidentally put in as a townhouse. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover, because this is what I also get asked about all the time, and I wish so much more of it, guys. I really do, is multifamily. So, multifamily in Virginia Beach has been slim pickings, very slim. Right now, the median estimated value is 668. It's up 5.4% compared to the last 12 months. But there's been such little inventory that I wouldn't really want to even call it that. Just call it what it is, which is not much. So if I look at just multifamily right here, I'm going to pull up a list just so you guys can see the list after the map. Actually, let's go back to the map first. This is where the multifamily is. This isn't even multifamily, but they just put it in that category. Yeah. All right. And this one's definitely multifamily. It's 8 bedrooms, 5 baths, asking $1.15 million. Definitely makes sense for the area. I would say that's probably a pretty great deal considering what most properties around here sell for with that many bedrooms and bathrooms. Same thing with this one. This was on the market for quite a bit of time. They cut the price of $50K recently. Another great property that generates a lot of income for whoever lives here because of its proximity to the oceanfront and the usability of it. If you wanted to buy land and make that into multifamily, that's always an option to go into that new construction vibe. But it's a very long-term play because you got to get the permits, you got to get the city approval, and you really got to, be prepared to wait and be patient before you start making the kind of cash that you can make from day one. So going back to what I said about finding properties in general, co-ops are very different. I don't really end up seeing very much of those in the area. There's something that's more popular up north. Occasionally we'll come across them in Virginia, but it's not too popular. Most people just use the word condo and let that kind of be what we call properties. Overall, I would say focus on really getting an idea of what properties look like in person instead of just trying to be online. If you guys are going to start looking at properties this summer, if you aren't and just are curious about what your home could sell for because you have no plans to stay in the area, that's great too, because even if you did plan to leave the area, it's good to watch property values so that you can know what might attract a buyer and get them to come to your property and make a really great offer on your property like they would on a property that sold for multiple thousands of dollars above asking. Let's just call it that, because you never know. Your property could be worth $1 million and sell for $50K above ask. If your property was only $295, you might be able to get $15K extra out of it. Just a nice little chunk of change for a awesome summer. Either way, we do have a system at my brokerage that we think is a proven way to help sellers really maximize their property value. If you were to meet with me, I would go over with you exactly the kind of process that would need to occur for you to get as much cash as possible out of the property. We would discuss, number one, price and what you could expect. So I'm going to set expectations on what you can expect to hear from buyers, what we should expect to price it at to get the kind of results you need. But we're also really going to talk about you and your needs, because if your needs are to get a certain price down the road but still have flexibility to stay in the property or make more plans outside of getting the property sold as fast as possible, we can discuss that and make that as accommodating as possible for you and your family. We're also going to talk about marketing and how we market properties to the highest level and get the best possible price, get the highest amount of agents to bring qualified people, as well as bring our own qualified people to see the property and write strong offers as soon as possible, and kind of create a system of urgency. That way you don't feel like your time is going to be wasted or that you're going to be sitting on the market for days, because even if you said, I don't want to move out until 60 days from today or 90 days from today, all of that can be negotiated. On top of that, I'm going to prepare you to understand the expectations of how your property should be shown online and offline, as well as what you can expect as far as communication from us between the time it sells and the time it's sold. We really dedicate ourselves to providing the highest level of service we can and making sure that you feel heard and like everything you wanted and more is taken care of. So if you'd like to schedule time to talk to me about working together on your goal of buying or selling real estate, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching.